So whenever you've got a horse with, most commonly I'll see horses with lead issues, so they're having problems getting into their left lead. Most people blame the shoulder, and I definitely want you to look at the shoulder, of course. A lot of times the elbow is misdiagnosed as well. There's a lot of flexor muscles that come into there, and the extensors in the front of the forearm that help the leg get out as far as it should. But sometimes, as in the picture, the primary concern comes from the hip. And when horses take off into the left lead, for example, they're pushing off with the right hind. And so they're getting most of their power from the right hind hip, and the shoulder is just following through. So we always need to consider the opposite hip when we're having a lead issue. The act of providing massage therapy is more than simply stimulating the tissue, especially when providing massage on a horse. You'll provide therapeutic stimulation as well as being conscious of your own body placement for safety. Watch your toes, get steel toes if you decide. Watch your arms because the horse can bend around and nip you if you get on a spot that's painful or just because he decides you taste good. Or I've had horses try and kick out at me while I'm working on their hip or the inside of their gaskin or in the adductors and the hind end. You also want to be aware of the amount of pressure that you're using. As I mentioned, some horses like the deeper tissue, some of them don't, some of them like the lighter, some of them like to just barely be touched, and some you'll find the first time that you work on them, they're kind of looking at you like, what are you doing? What's going on right now? And they don't know how to release, they don't know how to relax, they have no idea what's going on. And the more you work on them, the more they relax and the easier they kind of get into the massage. And so your job will be to find out how much pressure they like, and in different areas they might like more or less. This is a good thing for you to take notes so you can come back and kind of compare your before and afters. And the third thing that I want you to be aware of, we're just going to touch on lightly, is your emotional state and well-being. Horses don't relax and release when people who are angry, distracted, nervous, or indifferent are around or working on them. They pick up on your emotion and body language way more than we like to give them credit for. And then when we watch the videos of me working on my horse Bubba, I'm pretty nervous because I've never done anything like this before. And he's pretty nervous too. You can see by the whites in his eyes that he's not really sure what's going on. He's usually perfectly fine being okay, being alone. But because I was nervous, he was nervous. And the wind is blowing, and so we can't see or hear any of the other horses. So he's in his different element, but he does still get some nice releases for me that you can see. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is some basic massage strokes you can do on your own horse. And I broke them up into different areas. So the neck and forearm are the first spots I like to work on. Then into the pectorals and the chest and the neck. Then we're going to do the barrel. We'll do the hip and the gaskin and then finish up with the top line. When I'm providing massage on the horse, I generally like to do 3 strokes on each muscle. And each muscle might take you more than 1 stroke to cover. For example, the tricep, you'll see in the first video, takes me 3 strokes to do the entire muscle. So essentially we're doing 9 strokes for that one spot. When you work on your own horse, ideally it should take you between an hour and 15 and an hour and a half to work on the entire body. And we like to do the entire body twice. So you do one side and the other side, and then I usually take a little break and let them relax and release, take some notes, because you might see some things change from your first pass to your second pass. Then we go back and we see if the tissue's changed, see if we can work deeper, maybe we've got to work lighter, maybe a new thing's come up. I just wanted to talk about the fact that these strokes are for the superficial or first layer of muscles in the horse. I do deeper work and different strokes as I progress into the sessions with the horses. If you're interested in learning how to work deeper and getting into the second layer of muscle, please let Lori or I know, and we can make arrangements. Hopefully we can have a 3-day workshop seminar so we can get some hands-on courses going once this pandemic is over. Of course, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to me or Lori and let me know. My Facebook page is Dirt to Diamonds, and my website is Dirt to Diamonds LLC. And so before we get into the videos of me practicing the techniques, I thought it might be helpful for you to see what the strokes look like on paper, and then you can follow along as we do the strokes if you like. I'll send a picture to Lori on Messenger or something so you can have it in front of you if you like for when you're practicing your strokes. There is one stroke that's not on this diagram that I'm going to show in the video, and I apologize for that if it's a little confusing. When I was drawing up the diagrams, I figured it would be less confusing for you to look at the diagram with a bunch of X's on it, because the X stroke is the one that I didn't put on the diagram. So here's a picture of the diagram for the strokes that we're going to look at today. And I've got them all numbered there. So we're going to start on the shoulder, go down the leg, and do the front and the side pec, up the neck, and then go down the barrel. So this is what we'll get you a screenshot of so you can follow along. I know it helped me a lot in school to have this with me. When I was practicing, I would take it with me when I was doing the strokes. And as you're doing the strokes, I want you to kind of picture these muscles that you're working on. So this is my favorite book. This was a coloring anatomy that atlas that we've got. And so the first couple strokes we're going to work on right in the triceps here and this deltoid muscle. And we're also going to connect in with the trapezius. In the first stroke, I want you to pay attention to go right along the spine of the scapula. You'll be able to feel it. So I want you to be right underneath of it on your first stroke. And then your second strokes are going to come down here, work the tricep muscle. And then we're going to come down and work the forearm muscles, come up into the pecs, and then we're going to go all the way up into the neck and cross fiber with these muscles. Then the next strokes in the barrel, we go straight up and we kind of do what we would call a cross fiber stroke. And so you may need to add or subtract strokes into the barrel or into the neck depending how thick your horse's neck is or how long they are in the barrel. So we're going to come up in the external oblique muscles and come straight up. And then I drew a hairline around this flank here on the other diagram to remind you to stay away from that